Well, now the conclusion with the last two episodes of Pixar's Win or Lose events and now streaming. I thought I would talk about them both in this one video. With the episode in question being entitled "I Got It" and Home, in which everything comes together and further compounds not only my comparisons to being more family-friendly version of Memento and Pulp Fiction, but also it's so these similarities. Arguably, it could be this whole show could be like The Sandlot for Gen Z and Alpha, especially in terms of the offbeat humor and unique approach to animation. And I also watched the Meet the Pickles documentary behind the scenes and earlier today as well. To make sure I had that part of the creative process down as well. It was definitely interesting to see how taken together, or they had to do enough work for about a movie that's 2 hours and change rather than the usual 90 minutes and change, and in about half the time it usually takes to go. And I'm not certain if what they're claiming about the parent company moving away from this kind of storytelling is true. But either way, I'll just deal as it comes. So let's begin. I will start with episode 7, I Got It, in which. And it turns out that it wasn't the character I thought would be in the storyline, ended up being edited for the final version. And I thought it was initially Rochelle's mother, Vanessa, but it turns out it was the same actress who had a mixture of disappointment and understanding about why the edits were made. For a character that's such as this one, Kai. I mean, the initial storyline expanded to the storyboarding phase, and I did see them online, and so, but I also, as I insinuated, the edits were likely not as severe as initially thought. It's not overt that Kai was once a completely different kid more than one, but she is coded that way, like feeling ashamed of the old photographs of her life. I mean, as well as like the color palettes that are really coming to play in the focus episode, being lots of white, pink, and blue. So it reminds me a lot about how they handled all the Spider Verse variant of Gwen Stacy in, especially in Across Spider Verse, especially when she's finally opening up to her father. I mean, her end, but also like how there's layers to this with also being like new in town, and also having to be closer to her elderly grandmother, and definitely he shows that again that it's an integrated team at the middle school where she's going, and also find out more and more details about everything from like apparently a like they use the same textures for the clothes they do with the trees, and for all the foods to do with the hair. And yeah, I did. If some of the kids, its braids look similar to the Twizzlers they were serving at the snack shack. That's kind of because they are. And we also get more context surrounding like the leg injury. She's been nursing, and in previous episodes. So it also further compounds why she plays through the pain, and also, as I'm about to explain, the victory they do end up experiencing comes at quite the cost. I mean, In fact, also wraps around how even as someone like me who wasn't sure how to process a non-sports fan, personally, it turns out the anime was operating similar mindset, and they made it like the setting and something like a MacGuffin to keep the plot going forward. Where it's so let's move on to the next part here. And now episode 8, home, where the coach Dan, voiced by Will Forte, is definitely doing his best who for his team, even if he often and doesn't all feels the pressure in his own way, including like the new dad who wants to make a play for his job, or really step in as assistant. I mean, he certainly is open enough to lodge a protest whenever ever about the call being made to my favorite character, Mike the umpire. I mean, here and also definitely how it blends both the fantastic and the stuff that could be in day-to-day life. I mean, where they don't outright call attention to where the setting is, but I still maintain, especially after watching the documentary made behind the scenes, that it is based on, it appears to be based in LA, at very least near where the actual Pixar studio is located in Emeryville. I haven't say I've been to these exact locations, but I think I definitely recognize several where the streets are laid out, and also the way they admit to how little things like the Luxor Bowl, that's all that Rochelle's little brother is teething on, and also the fact that one of the restaurants appears to be the same one from Onward. It definitely will be interesting to see how people fit the show in with the Pixar theory, I'll admit. I mean, I'd certainly be willing to who who pick up something, be it like a little figurine like the sadness I've got on my shelf, or of course like the big one would be the art book, I mean, which shows how many to the design process to go through, and also like how they saw opportunity to experiment, which again puts in the same category as the short films that they started making when the technology first went on the market in the 80s and kept going well through the 90s. And also, they definitely linked all of experience they had like, especially with Ira and the Blazer creatures I mentioned before. I especially found that interesting as someone who was open mid before to actually at one point going to like a K through 12 school when they were living in Austin, where you have some people that are in grade school beneath you and some in high school above you, who, I mean, it's not ideal, but it does happen and does give you an interesting perspective on life that way. Hey, and also when I talk about how the gaming ideas, where it's difference between like say the ones with more simulation baseball titles like MLB The Show, to the point where I had to remind myself I'm looking at just the game, not actual footage that's live on the diamond, and more arcade style ones that like the MLB Slugfest titles I used to have, like the one I used to have on GameCube. I mean, it was the 2004 version, complete with "Crawling in the Dark" as the intro song. I'll just deal with Acclaim being brought back as it comes. As for seeing on the movie this weekend, I might be able to get tickets to Novocaine. I might not. We shall see. I do have backups in mind just in case I don't make it there. And the most notable, I'm pleased to say, is that my 350 subscriber special is now more than halfway done. I'd say currently 55, 60% done, 65% the most. I mean, I intend to have it done sooner than later, and like I said before, or might have some small videos before then, I might not, we shall see. And as you can see, I've also was streaming the game on and there's such other no save mode. Oh, just to make sure to have all the details in mind. So with that, that's another one unwrapped, and I also still intend to finish in a Skeleton Crew when next season Andor starts. I've also heard that the new Spider-Man show is actually a lot better than a lot I was worried about. I'll probably tell you talking about that after I binge the whole thing. And I will see you all again soon. So take care, Pickles.